Now, here I am trying to start a little moment where I might make some art. I've got my notebook out and I've got a little candle lit and I've got my craft supplies here. But I'm feeling a little camera shy. And so I think what I might just do is set this camera up somehow so that you can see what I'm making, but you don't have to see me. So let's just take a little moment to do that. Okay, I think we're back on. I'm gonna put this little lanyard on. I think I've created the image, the scene that works. It's difficult for me to know what will be pleasing for you. And I suppose if I'm posting a video, my objective is to make the experience pleasing to you, or in some way establish within you a desire to watch it again. And that's just kind of an interesting thing to ponder. Is why am I bringing you into my moment of artistic creation? What is it that so inspires me to bring you along to my experience? And that's an interesting thing. It really then touches on, for me anyway, something called moral injury. And that is a really fascinating concept to talk about. And I might just take this moment, or I might say, hey, we had a plan. I am making art, and I'm bringing you along with me. And this, I guess, is a moment wherein you could ask yourself, do I want to continue watching this lady? To which, of course, you will have an answer. And I wonder how you... Well, no, that's getting a little out there again. I'm just getting some water. Because I'm using watercolors. I love to repurpose little containers. It really just makes me happy. So anyway, I guess I think what I might do is I might just have a little seat and join you. And now I won't have any sort of perspective of what you're visually experiencing here, because the camera is over there and of course I'm sitting right here. That's something called perspective. And well, I just sort of wonder, would you like to see some of my other art? How would I get your consent to view my other art? Interesting concepts that just I ponder all the time. Well, here, this one's on the wrong side of things. This is one of my pieces of art. Let's set expectations, shall we? My art making practice is not about making something that is visually pleasing. It's about making something. And I really make an effort to make or to encourage that process to be a peaceful one. How can I make art peacefully? How can I engage in any sort of experience peacefully? What does that mean? To engage in an experience peacefully. What does that mean? And of course, if not certainly, I assume and somewhat believe that you must probably be experiencing some degree of frustration, because usually by this time when I'm in conversation with someone, they sort of ask for the loo, if you know what I mean. And that might not even be true. Sometimes it's just that I don't get here with other people because I don't feel comfortable talking about these things. And so I'm taking this moment to engage in art and be vulnerable. Really, I'm inviting you into what I would say is a ritual of mine. And that's an intimate thing. And how do you really ask for someone's consent when you're inviting them into what is an intimate thing? You know, what if they don't know all the details? This is informed consent. This is what I'm talking about. How do we have informed consent with our government, with our bodies, with our loved ones, with our art making? Sure. If I say, hey, I'm going to have a workshop on art making, and you show up and we're having a dance class, you might say, well, that was deceitful, that I didn't have informed consent. But maybe we had a different understanding of what the word art making is, because movement is art. And that's just a thought. I'm just letting my thoughts come. It could be that I don't even let you hear what I'm speaking and I change my mind and I don't post anything. Or maybe I only post what I'm visually creating. I don't post what I'm auditorily creating, and then it becomes a conversation about what are these things that we call senses and how do they work to perceive the world around us and engage in activities that might be pleasing or unpleasing or conflict, create conflict or create harmony or peace. You know, like what is that? What is that? To feel a sense of peace. What is that? I wonder if some of you Christian folk could answer that question for me. What does it feel like? What is the somatic experience of harmony and peace? What does that feel like? I hear that it's a nice thing. And I wonder how you find that, how you spend time in devotion to that which you worship. Yeah. What is it that you worship, and how do you spend time doing that? Sorry, I know my accent will be all over the place. It's just sort of one of those little kooky little things about me. It just happens. I've spent time all over the world. Most of my time has, well, it doesn't matter. So I'm just really, I can tell you, I'm having a somatic experience when I see certain colors hit the page or blend in a certain way or do something. Like I feel something when I see that. And you might call me a cuckoo bear and just hit next and think, why would I stop to even engage with this person? But there was a person. No, it's not that kind of story. Sometimes you find people who want to engage with you. Sometimes you find your community. People who want to be the same kind of little funky with you, But not to harp on them, but the Christians really found that. They're really good at having community. It's evangelical aspect of themselves. They really go out there and talk a lot about what they believe. And I think that is beautiful, talking about what you believe. I really do. I think it's important that we have discourse as a community, as a culture, as a country on what do you believe? Even the atheists, like, what is this word believe? And then maybe believe isn't a word that resonates with an atheist, so then what would be the closest thing? What's a synonym to an atheist of this word believe? Why does it matter? Why am I even asking these questions? Why am I even wondering any of these things at all? Certainly, why am I bringing you into it? Well, that's a great question. And I wish we had an elder. I have one in mind that I could ask, like, well, how do I get people to play with me the way I want to play? Engage with me would be another word, the way I want to engage. Not everybody has ways of engaging that I enjoy. Some people want to whitewater raft. I don't want to do that. I don't want to go whitewater rafting. I really am not interested. Skydiving. I could be talked into that, but this is what I want to do. I want to fiddle about with different things. If you know, you just know. And so maybe you're like, whoa, honey, child, I have zero interest in doing what you're doing. And I respect that, I do. I don't even respect it. I celebrate that. I'm so glad that you know that you don't want this. You don't want to play with watercolors. I'm so glad that you know that. And you're able to communicate to me. And you know what I'm also glad? I'm glad that I have the awareness and respect for you, not to force you to play watercolors with me. Now, I will be fully transparent. Sometimes I don't hear no the first time. Sometimes I'm like, oh, you just don't know that what you want to do is play watercolors. And for that, I'm sorry. And that's where we have something called restorative justice. And you can okay, there was a rupture here. Someone got upset that I asked them to play watercolors again. And then we have the elders come in and be like, okay, Sarita, the point that we're trying to make is don't ask Abigail to play with the watercolors again, yeah. And I think that is a phenomenon that we don't actually discuss. Like, when do you stop asking the question? There's this situation I have in mind where a superior, shall we say, not a superior, someone who employs someone else is not their superior, it's their employer. I think there's often a hierarchy that's set in place that is not actually warranted. It's not the right vocabulary word. So there was an employer, someone in a position of power, who asked his employee out on a date. And she said no. And then this employer asked the employee back on a date again. And she said no. And there's something called the influence of power when you discuss consent. The story of Bathsheba comes to mind. And her, it's a story that not everybody agrees on all the points, so it's a difficult one to reference. But the point is, there was a king, and he wanted to have sexual relations with one of his constituents, and so he had her sign a contract saying that it was consensual. But, her husband was in the military, and this is, what is this? Way BC, ancient times. And so then what happened? Well, maybe I'm taking you too deep. Maybe you don't want to go into all these conversations. This has already been 15 minutes of your time. And so I guess if you don't want to listen anymore, you can go ahead and go. Thank you for your time. Loved having you present with me. Please like, follow, subscribe, I think is the little script I'm supposed to give you. But really what I mean is, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you have any responses, I would genuinely like to hear from you. If this discussion inspired upon you some sort of response or question, like, oh, I hadn't thought about consent in that way, or oh, I haven't thought about community in that way, or I'm a Christian and I want to tell you how I feel a sense of revelry in my religion, how I celebrate, how I worship. What is my practice of worshiping, and what is it exactly that I am worshiping? And when I drink the blood, what is that? And when I eat the flesh, what is that? If you could just explain some of those things for me. I think I have similar practices and I think this is kind of neat that our religious sort of belief system is similar, not identical, maybe, and that's okay too. You know, not everybody likes to make art. Some people like to skydive. You rock it. You roll it. Some people like to design little figurines. I love that. I think they're really cool, actually. Some people like to dress up in period pieces and pretend they're on a battlefield. Everybody has different interests, and I think that's just so cool. I think that's what makes America so fucking beautiful. I think that's what makes the world so beautiful, is that we all have sort of different interests. And I just kind of want to, sometimes I'll be perfectly clear. Sometimes I get curious about how other people engage playfully and creatively in their surroundings. And sometimes I don't care. And I just want to do what I want to do. And I don't know what that is. Some people call that selfish. Some people call that self-centered. And some people call it narrow-minded, or I don't know. There's just lots of words that people use to describe that kind of behavior when I don't want to do what you want to do. I would love to know what that actually is. If someone has a vocabulary word for what that is, in a constructive way, like, what's the positive? How do you say no politely? I think it's just no. I think that just we have it worked up in our minds that no is a bad word. I can say no, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. I can say it. Look at me. I'm saying it. No, thank you. And I suppose it's somewhere around here. You could probably add some music. And I'm just going to keep on going. And, well, I'm at least following through. I'll give you that. I think the world of you, but that doesn't mean I want to be with you on your pedestal, on your worship the way that I do. I celebrate you. I love you the way that I do. I love you the way that I do. This stroke, this way of love, the way of love that says I am your friend. I am your friend, and your song is on my altar, and your song is on my altar, and your song is on my altar, and your song is on my altar. She sang atop a church, well atop a mountain, above a monastery, in a church above it all. But her spirit sought her high, and I would say it took her to another realm. This prayer that did she find herself in when she did not completely know or understand? But in this prayer you held my hand. But in this prayer you understand. Love is love is love is love. And you hold my hand. And you hold my hand because you